Hi, I'm here today at Hicks Lake. I was here last year. Some of you may have seen some of those videos. And today I'm at the Beaver Pond. And I'm going to do some work with the little beaver hut. They say that there is a beaver den here and there's a beaver in it. Although all the years we've been here, we've only seen that beaver once. So today I'm going to paint his house. And at the same time, I want to show you about building patterns and how you find patterns. Because really, everything is green out here. So the first thing I do is map up my shapes. I'm looking for the big shapes here. And here I'm looking at the different colors of green that you can see. And of course, the sticks that are there making up the den. Next, I make shapes out of all the different lines. And each shape represents a different value that I can see there in the drawing. So here's what I mean, some of the patterns I'm looking for. First of all, I'm looking for the negative shape here at the top. And I've picked out certain branches and things that I'm going to use for that negative shape. Then I'm looking at the layers of color. And so here, as these branches come in, this is a solid mass. Then there's another mass right here. There's a mass up here. And then there's the log that's right here that everything seems to be built around. And then there's another two more layers here. So I'm not trying to draw individual plants. I'm looking for the different value changes that happen and the subtle changes that there are in the greens. As well, looking at the logs here, I've also indicated some of them. And now we can't really see the exact foliage that's there, but we can tell that there's bits of foliage. So I've certainly suggested that and suggested that on the water. No, I haven't done the stuff behind there yet. That is in the distance and it's very light. So that will be done with my watercolor. And it won't go up in here, it'll just be down in here and over in this area here. And of course a little bit on this side as well. But you can see already what I'm talking about with rows of color, finding the pattern and trying to work within that. I've been working away on my clumps of grass and trying to get the different layers showing up. I'm pushing my greens here. I pushed them to yellows. Here I pushed them with blues. Here I pushed them with a bit of oranges. I have two different yellows, a warm and a cold, that I'm using for pushing them. And the same with the blues, a cold and a warm blue, just to get some different things. Don't forget that when you do a layer, you can always go back and put some little darks in there at the same when you're doing it. Just to build that interest. Each of the clumps, I try and have at least two different values in a clump, sometimes three, depending on the size of it. You can see here, I went back and did another layer. An important thing too, when you're adding your little pieces at the back, is you notice how I've kind of grounded them here along the logs, and also here to this part here, and even over here. You can see what I mean by grounding them. Grounding them is up and down, making sure some of them touch. They don't all have to touch, but it needs to look like they've erupted out of there as a mass and then become more individual. You can see even with the water, you have to consider the layers of color as well. And that's what I've done here. The water isn't finished. I'm going to put a few lines on it to set it. And also, of course, I have to do these little guys here. And they're quite light compared to the water, so I have to make sure I keep them really, really light. All right, I'll get back to you later. Well, there's just a couple of things I wanted to wrap up as I finish up this picture. One is the colors of the logs. What I did is I just mixed some of the colors that I had here in my little tray, lighten them up, and they became my log colors. So basically, all the colors that are found here in the main part of my picture are also found on bits and pieces of the logs. Now I'm just going back and putting in some darks underneath and finishing up. And then I'll play with that water a little bit more, and it's done. Well, I finished it up. There's my beaver dam, and maybe there is a beaver den. Maybe there is a beaver hiding under there right now. Don't know, but for sure I had lots of fun painting it. Well, the sun's out, the wind's down, time for Max and I to go out on the kayak. So we'll say goodbye to this beaver den, and hopefully one of these days we'll see the beaver. Wendy teaches outdoor sketching classes in the summer, and she teaches in her studio and online throughout the year. Wendy produces original work in pencil and in watercolor. She completes commission work, particularly pet portraits, and produces cards and prints from some of her work.